Apparently, an employee at Google has written a memo about how Google's corporate culture discriminates against people who have more of a conservative bent to their thinking. And this has caused a shitstorm. As it would. Okay. Today, helping me read this article by Motherboard is my anonymous Kekistani cousin. Fuck you. Bullshit. This is bullshit. At least 8 Google employees tweeted Friday about a document that was circulated within the company calling for replacing Google's diversity initiatives with policies that encourage ideological diversity instead. The document, which was the personal opinion of one senior software engineer, was shared on a company mailing list, but has since gone internally viral, according to a Google employee who spoke with Motherboard. Someone in a company that prides itself on innovative thinking has suggested it might want to allow for diversity of ideas. Perish the thought. Motherboard has not viewed the full document, but will comment anyway. But a screenshot we reviewed shows that it is titled Google's Ideological Echo Chamber. Google's Ideological Echo Chamber. Descriptions of its contents were tweeted publicly by Google employees, and it was described in detail to Motherboard by a Google employee who requested anonymity because of the company's notoriously strict confidentiality agreement and the possibility of being buried in a river with concrete shoes. So you bury people in rivers. That's how it works in my world. A lawsuit against the company was filed in a San Francisco court last year over the company's spying program to prevent leaks. A spying program to prevent leaks. Oh, it's almost like Google is an arm of the American government. Oh. Saturday afternoon, Gizmodo published the full contents of the document. The person who wrote the document argued that the representation gap between men and women's software engineering persists because of biological differences between the two sexes, according to public tweets from Google employees. It also said Google should not offer programs for underrepresented racial or gender minorities, according to one of the employees Motherload spoke to. As Kakistanis, we're fucked, because nobody gives a shit about us. The 10-page Google Doc was met with derision from a large majority. The 10-page Google Doc document. Seriously, Motherboard. The 10-page Google Doc document was met with derision from a large majority of employees who saw and denounced its contents, according to the employee. But Jana Dugan, a software engineer at Google, tweeted that some people at the company at least partially agreed with the author. One of our sources said the same. While the document itself contains the thoughts of just one Google employee, the context in which they were shared, Google is currently being investigated by the Department of Labor for its gender pay gap, and Silicon Valley has been repeatedly exposed as a place that discriminates against women and people of color, as well as the private and public response from its workplace. Workforce are important. Jesus Christ, what does this even mean? That sentence doesn't fucking make sense. Oh, whatever. They're setting up for the witch hunt, folks. Quote, the broader context of this is that person is perhaps bolder than most of the people at Google who share his viewpoint of thinking that women are less qualified than men. If you lower qualifications for women, then women tend to be less qualified. Oh, horrible, wrong think. This kind of logic has no place in Google. What do you think Google is making? Technologies? Oh, no, Google is making social change. To the point where he was willing to publicly argue for it. But there are sadly more people like him, the employee said, who described the document's content to me. If you have to lower the qualifications to get women through the door, by definition, they're less qualified than men. A recent study out of Australia found that female candidates are actually favored over male. They compared candidate selection in 2 conditions, one where the sex of the candidate was known, and the other where it was not known. Juries preferred giving jobs to women. Women already enjoy preferential treatment in the job market. Most people would rather have a woman around than a man. The only way to get them equal representation in merit-based occupations is to remove merit as a standard, if they're not already there. In other words, lowering the bar. At Google, I feel that there is a lot of pushback from white dudes. White dudes. who genuinely feel like diversity is lowering the bar, a former engineering employee who wished to remain anonymous because they had signed a non-disclosure agreement told Motherboard. I don't even understand the logic of these individuals. They say white men, as if Asian men aren't saying the same. They say white men feel like diversity is lowering the bar, as they actually lower the bar in order to facilitate the goal of diversity. Just because you say white men observe something doesn't make the observation wrong. It's like you're standing there, just right there, doing it. Right there, lowering the bar and like some sort of magical incantation to hide what you're doing. I can't be lowering this bar because white men are observing me lower this bar, and everything white men observe is obviously false because they're white, and more importantly, they're men! Motherboard has independently confirmed with multiple Google employees that the document is being widely shared among many of the company's software engineering teams. If I had to guess, almost every single woman in engineering has seen it, the current employee told Motherboard. A separate current employee told me that it was being actively read by many employees. And it can't possibly be because these women agree with it. No, Google is forcing them to click on this memo, forcing it in their faces. Look at you women! This patriarchal superstructure at Google demands that you see your inferiority! Listen up, women of Google. If you ever want to see an end to this, if you ever want to save your company from social justice lunacy, you're going to have to speak up. If you're tired of being dismissed as an individual in favor of being seen as a vagina with a victim attached, you're going to have to speak up. If you want to just be part of the team and not singled out as a point in a political football match, you're going to have to speak up. It's up to you now. You're the only ones who can save the Rebel Alliance. You're our only hope. At several points on Friday night, the document was inaccessible because too many people were attempting to view it concurrently. Google did not respond on 2 requests for comment. On Saturday afternoon, Google's new Vice President of Diversity, Integrity, and Governance, Danielle Brown, responded to the document in a statement sent to Google employees. Vice President of Diversity, huh? You guys are fucked. It's time for somebody to create their own economy. I wonder if you can do that. Just everything, like their own language, their own written language, their own economy, their own currency. It's time to just fucking scratch it all. Scratch it down. Scratch everything off the board. Recreate it. The document's author also wrote that employees with conservative political beliefs are discriminated against at Google and lamented about how leftist ideology is harmful. They argue that the company should have a more open culture where their viewpoint would be welcomed. The document said that improving racial and gender diversity is less important than making sure conservatives feel comfortable expressing themselves at work. How dare this conservative say he's discriminated against? Discriminate against him! Burn the witch! Incidentally, at least 30% of victims of witch burning were men. In some places, they were the majority of witches burnt. Shh. Inconvenient facts. So a conservative is talking about how he's discriminated against at work based on his belief system. And Motherboard is saying that not only is he not discriminated against because of his beliefs are systematic to Silicon Valley, but he and the rest of his kind should be purged. Because it's good to discriminate against conservatives, because they're not discriminated against enough, even though that's not what anybody's doing, because Silicon Valley secretly supports conservatives. We're not discriminating against you. You can't be discriminated against. Now shut up while we stack this wood. While the vast majority of Google employees did not support the document's arguments, some did. While the vast majority of employees did not support the document, felt the document's author should be fired. Out of a cannon, into the Pacific. Some did support this heinous bullshit, according to Dugan, who works on the company's Go programming language. The document's author was emboldened by some of the positive responses he got. The author is now in contact with me explaining why he received supportive response, she tweeted. If HR does nothing in this case, I will consider leaving the company for real the first time in 5 years, she wrote in a threaded tweet. While the vast majority, well, those poor fuckers are out the door, aren't they? Sorry, I hope you enjoyed your job at Google, but Google has got to get rid of you in the name of diversity. It is not worth thinking about this as an isolated incident and is instead a manifestation of what ails all of Silicon Valley, the employee Motherload spoke to. who detailed the document's contents. And here's the payload. This memo isn't just about Google. It's about everywhere. The witches are everywhere. The communists are everywhere. The Jews are everywhere. The conservatives control everything, and that's why we need to purge them, because we're the ones being discriminated against by this memo. If this wasn't sad, it would be funny. Humans, what are you going to learn? This is just the tutorial level, for fuck's sake. Oh, and here's some poisoning the well for good measure. Google is currently wrapped up in a dispute with the Department of Labor over what an agency official testified are systemic compensation disparities against women pretty much across the entire workforce. Another official told The Guardian in April that it had discovered compelling evidence of very significant discrimination against women in the most common positions at Google headquarters. I thought the government was a patriarchy that didn't care about women. The women's. But here is a government investigating Google for gross negligence in benefiting women. Well, if the government isn't the patriarchy, maybe Google is the patriarchy, right? Is that how it works? Wow, we found a shred of patriarchy. Purge Google of all heretical thought. Purge the author of this Memo Maleficarum. Our ideological fields must be pure as driven snow. And obviously, this single memo by one employee speaking out against the corporate culture of shallow diversity at Google represents all of Google. Not just all of Google, but all of Silicon Valley. Not just all of Silicon Valley, but all of America. Not just all of America, but all of the Western world. No. Not just all of the Western world. All of the Earth. All of the Earth. No. Not just all of the Earth, but all of the solar system. No, not just all of the solar system, but all of the galaxy. And no, not just all of the galaxy, but all of the local groups of galaxies are patriarchy.
Holy shit, woman, calm down.
Rarefied concepts in mathematics.
It is scary how quickly you change like that. Anyway, crazy woman. Miss you are calm. If you enjoy this content, please consider giving this crazy fuck of a woman some money. The link is in the low bar because YouTube does not like PayPal links. Stupid YouTube. And if you want to give her team, who are also a bunch of crazy fucks, you can click the link at the end of the video. It should be here somewhere. Yes, there. Yes. Click it and give the crazy fucks some money so they can be crazy. They're even more crazy for you. Like the crazy fucks, yes. Support them. They can't do anything else for themselves. Except this. This bullshit. Fucking in my country, the people would be shot.